This is Natalie Roles, and you are listening to the Bill Podcast. Presented by Patrick Stratford. Brought to you in association with GeorgeFairbrother.com, shop.saturdaymorningpress.co.uk, vanguardcomics.co.uk, gibconsultancy.co.uk, mcr-seo.com, and johnspillane.com. In all genres of popular crime writing, detective characters figure prominently. What is life as a detective really like today? And how did it differ 100 years ago? Find out in this revised A to Z Readers and Writers Guide by crime historian Stephen Wade and former senior detective Stuart Gibbon. Updated to include recent changes to police practice and a brand new section on artificial intelligence. Being a detective, an essential research companion for all writers of crime fiction and non-fiction, is available now on paperback and ebook from Amazon. I'm sure Debbie would have had a copy of this handbook. Find out more on gibconsultancy.co.uk.
Welcome back to the Bill Podcast. It's Oliver here. I hope you're all well. My huge thanks once again to Natalie for recording another terrific sponsored promo, this time for Stuart Gibbon of GIB Consultancy. And my huge thanks to all 6 of our sponsors and to all our patrons. You can support the podcast from just $2.99 a month on patreon.com/The Bill Podcast. There's over 250 hours of exclusive content to enjoy, plus early access. Patrons have enjoyed a video version of this podcast with Karl and Chris 6 months early. Your support helps us to record more content. You'll all love the weekly series The Evidence Room, where I go through 60 box files of production paperwork donated to me by production scheduler Nigel Wilson, covering the entire Richard Hanford hour-long era, which is where both Karl and Chris began their time at Sunhill CID. There's loads more on there as well, so do come and join the investigation at patreon.com/The Bill Podcast. I'll hand you back over to Patrick now, who delivers a wonderful part 2 with Karl and Chris, including a beautiful tribute to the late great George Rossi.
I forget how long it was on. It was like 83, 85 or 83.
Was it? Gosh. What year did it come off? Was it
2010?
2010, yeah. That's a great stint.
And I love the way it ended. Life goes on with that very last scene of a camera just, floating around the station, a big one shot, and it went out the top window. The cameraman stepped back onto a cherry picker, and it just went up and up and up and up and up. And you just saw that, life goes on. It was just great. Did you watch the last episode, Patrick?
Oh, yes, yeah. It's
a good episode, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, I love that that long, continuous shot of all the cast going past.
It was I'm super proud of it. So I'm super proud of my time there, and
I'd love to watch that last episode.
Yeah, it was lovely. Yeah. It was really lovely. Yeah, yeah.
So do you think, having been guests on the Bill, do you think those played a part in you both becoming regulars in the series?
Well, I mean, I don't know if this continued to the end, but at one point, weren't you the quickest turnaround? I think Chris was the quickest turnaround from being a villain or a guest to being an actual copper.
Yeah.
Was it 7 months or something?
It was about 7 or 9 months. My guest episode definitely helped me get a regular. It was Lucy Bolton at the time. She said, I was one of the last ones that was 1 in, 1 out, 1 in, 1 out. I think it was Greg Donaldson had gone.
Okay.
Or Rod Skase. Ian Fletcher. So I came in, I was the last one in, 1 out. But I'd done an episode with Lisa Gagan, and Lucy Bolton said, have a look at this guy. And I remember doing my screen test, Patrick. And I remember doing it with Billy Murray, and you know, and I went into CID, and I was this young kid who was like 24, and there was all these proper blokes with moustaches, and you know, proper blokes. The only way I can describe it is like when Gary Neville went into the Man United dressing room for the first time, and he said there was Brian Robson, McClare, Pallister, and he said it was the boys and the men, and I honestly felt like that. I was thinking, oh my goodness. But I remember doing it with Billy Murray, and Billy Murray, he was a bit of a joker, but he was a great guy, Billy Murray, and I just remember thinking, don't break his stare. Don't, you know, you're meant to hold your own. You're a tough little scrag from Essex. And I remember staring him out, don't blink. And I really sort of fronted him out. Anyway, I did it and forgot about it. But I also knew that there was a guy with really ginger hair and a guy with dark hair, and I had quite blonde hair at the time. So I thought, you know, they've gone for 3 different guys. It's going to be one of us. But Billy said to me on set, he went, "I vouch for you, boy." After we did our screen test, I said, "I went in and put a word for you." Whether that was true or not, I don't know. But I was just like, you know, I've never forgotten that about Billy.
Yeah.
Would you say yours did?
I really don't know. I mean, interestingly, I just want to say one thing about, I saw Chris's episode, and I think, I can't remember if I was already there, because we weren't that far apart, were we?
No,
was it less than a year?
Yeah, you was 99, I think.
99. Started February 99.
Yeah.
When did you start?
February 2000.
Okay. But I saw Chris's episode before I knew him. I remember thinking, oh my God. I thought the episode was great. I remember it was like, did you hold someone hostage or something?
Locked him in a basement.
And was she Spanish?
Yeah, I think the episode was called Lola or something.
Yes. Yeah, Lola.
Lola, yeah.
Patrick knows. Yeah, because then that actress, I'd seen her in a play with an ex-girlfriend of mine, and then she went on to do Teachers. She was in Teachers.
Okay.
Anyway, but I remember watching that episode, I was like, he's a wrong, isn't he? He's a wrong. And then when he came, I was like, it's the guy from that episode. It was so quick. Yeah. But back to your question, I can't remember. I remember auditioning, and it's funny, I'll say this, I remember the walk to the bill when you're auditioning was the longest walk in the world, right? Because it was at South Wimbledon tube station, and it was like a 15-minute walk to get to the set. And I remember it was the longest walk. You get an audition for the bill, you're like, oh God, I've got to do that mad, crazy walk all the way from South Wimbledon, which was in the middle of nowhere anyway. And then once you got the job, it was you used to skip down that walk to the set. So I came in 99, and I remember auditioning, and it was post the McPherson report, post Stephen Lawrence, and I met the producers. Richard Hanford started talking about this play that he'd seen, The Colour of Justice, at the Tricycle Theatre as it was then. And he said, "Oh, have you?" And it was about it was a verbatim piece about the trial. And I'd seen it the week before. And I said, "Yeah, I did see that." And I'm quite political with a small p. And so it's something that had piqued my interest, obviously, that time living in London and all the implications that go with that. And so we had a really good conversation about that. And they were saying, look, this is the first male black detective we're casting, and we can't believe it's taken us so long, but we just feel like we have to, do that. And I was like, well, yeah, it's well overdue, but that's something that really appealed to me. So I don't know if me being in it prior made the difference, but I do feel that my interest in that case and that situation made a big difference. And
I think it helped you. I think it helped if you'd done a guest. I think it was my second time as a guest, but it did help because they can think, oh, I like you in a meeting, and they would just run back and look at your work on the show, and even ask, because as a regular, questions like, was he a pain in the arse?
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? If you're a pain in the arse, you just, no one wants to work with you. That soon gets about. So I think it does help.
No, definitely. Yeah. I mean, because no one wants to work with knobheads, do they?
No.
How many had you done before you did yours? Had you done another episode? Had you done another character?
I think I've done 2, yeah.
So I did Fear or Favour, and then what was my other one called, Patrick?
You did another one where you held Alan West away over a balcony.
Yeah, that was hilarious.
Honestly, Patrick, we watched a scene earlier. And it's a real intense scene. And for some reason, we looked at each other and went, I don't remember doing it. I don't remember doing it. We didn't even remember being there. I was thinking, what is going on? But I think it's just because we're getting old. Yeah.
Well, it's so important at the time as well, you know. And it's interesting because that's a scene that we did together. But in the past, I'd often have people come up and say, "Oh, we did an episode of The Bill together," and I was like, "Oh, did we? What was that? Yeah, you know, this happened and that happened." And I'm thinking,
"Oh no, yeah."
You did so many.
You did so many.
It's not a judgment on anyone, but you did so many that you just couldn't hold them all in your head, you know. And the turnaround time and learning those lines. I mean, Chris was so fantastic at learning lines. And I wouldn't say he turned up and learned them on set, but he could look at them once and go, "Oh yeah, I've got that." And I was like, it took me 3 days to learn the lines. And even then I'd get there, I'm like, oh. And trust me, that doesn't get easier as you get older.
But we're also very lucky, actually, in the CID. For some reason, I don't know. I always preferred the CID. It just, everyone was individual. I felt like in the uniform sometimes, the guys had to do something extraordinary because they were all dressed the same. It's as simple as that. Whereas in the CID, they were just all these different individual characters, and they were all so different. Very lucky with stories. Very lucky with stories. You would never be like, "Oh, I haven't had any stories," or "I haven't had," you know, you just read scripts, you know, that were just so juicy. And
looking at the scene today with George Rossi, our great George Rossi.
It's very dear to both me and Karl. Oh my goodness.
What was he like to work with and to know?
We just had such a wonderful time. Wonderful time. Yeah, he was. Yeah, I mean, literally, I shared a dressing room with George when I first arrived at the Bill, and the very first day, and I can't do his accent because it's terrible, but he was like, "Do you own a property? Do you own a property?" I was like so excited to be there. I was like, "Do you own a flat? Do you own a flat?" I was like, "No, buy a flat. Make sure you buy somewhere. You know, this job won't last forever. Make sure you get someone who's like," and he was so, you know, it was so important to him that you made use of your time there, not just as an actor, but as a person in your life, you know. But yeah, he was special. And they used to call us, well, I don't know if we made it up, but the Three Musketeers. The three of us were thick as thieves. We were always together.
Yeah, we went to Australia together.
We left within a few days of each other. 2003, we left. All three of us left the Bill, and we went to Australia for a charity event. We were invited to Australia. We had the best time. But sadly missed.
Man. Awful. A real mentor to me, sort of like big brother type, you know.
Oh, he still was, wasn't he?
Yeah, you could phone him any time. You know, if I hadn't seen him for a couple of months, he would just pull up in his car and he would just be there and emotional, remote with the Italian, you know, just a really heart on his sleeve, you know. Oozing confidence, but no confidence.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just a real truthful, wonderful, dearly, dearly missed. Yeah.
Who else would you say were your closest friends on the series?
I was just about to say Renee, and it's still a good friend of mine. Renee Zago was we had a few lovely stories together. Sally Rogers, obviously, super dear to me. I worked lots with Simon Rouse, which, you know, we had a lovely, great time together.
Simon Rouse was hilarious. Simon Rouse was hilarious because he's like DCI Meadows. He was like, so, you know, everything is like down the line. Takes no prisoners, you know. Blah. You see Simon in his real life, he's like, oh, he doesn't know what day it is, does he? He's such a airy-fairy actor, but his character was so far removed from him, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But he was wonderful.
Great actor. People would be like, oh my God. I did a bit of theatre with him and he was just all over the place. And the boys were like, oh, God, we're getting so nervous. He's never got it right once. I said, you wait till the opening night and see what he does. And they were just like that. Oh my goodness. Incredible. Just turns up. Yeah.
And Natalie Roles, we worked with a lot.
Yeah,
she came in, there was like Natalie Roles and Steve Hartley.
Yeah.
And who else was it? Came in at the same time?
Tanya
Emery. They were like the beautiful gang, weren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, Steve Hartley, Natalie Roles, Tanya Emery. There was someone else. Did Jed come in at the same time?
Jed came in, yeah. Kieran Griffiths, who we're both still in touch with, and he's just absolutely delightful, who came out for the Broken Arrow for me. Yeah, we're still...
Another one with total funny bones.
Funny bones, yeah, absolutely funny bones, yeah.
And it was an interesting time for you both because at both your times, the bill went through a couple of major revamps, in particular at CID, following the big Don Beach storyline. What was that like for you both and for George to have these actors that you had known kind of suddenly depart the show at that time?
I think sometimes I genuinely thought, well, I should probably only last for another year, because people would come in and just like a new football manager, they'd just think, no, 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 and they're just gone. And there was no rhyme or reason to it. There was no rhyme or reason to it. I remember Paul Marquez coming in and just with a big axe but I remember thinking, I'm sure I'm going to be next. Luckily, I was on a big storyline at the time, and he must have watched and thought, as an actor, you felt a bit nervous.
Yeah,
would you say?
yeah, no, definitely.
But it wasn't afraid to reinvent itself. It kept changing. It moved with the times, and you realise that you are just a tiniest little bit in this massive machine that kept moving, and at any time you could be gone.
Yeah.
You almost just had to roll with it.
No,
like
definitely.
Our lifestyle, you just had to sort of,
And I think part of me was always, I know at the beginning when I first got the job, I thought, I'll do 2 years of this. I'll do 2 years. Because for me, I was always still, as an actor, wanting to do lots of different things, create different characters. I never considered going into a soap, and not that I would call the bill a soap, but in a sense it was, it was a continuing drama. I was always like, 2 years, that'll be great. Go on to the next thing, So after 2 years, you realise that that's no timing. That's no time at all.
Goodness. You're just getting,
so quickly.
Yeah.
And when you're one of 25 actors, you might get 5 or 6 good stories in those 2 years.
Yeah.
But you'll be background to someone else's story. And so it went really quickly. And then I thought, I'll stay a bit longer. And so always in my mind was not the fear of going, but actually for me it was more the fear of staying. I was always a bit worried, like, I'll get trapped here. Now I enjoyed it all the time I was there, but back in my head I was always like, but don't forget you want to do other things, and I know you can easily.
And in our dressing room doors every week, Patrick, there'd be an invite to this, an invite to that, an invite. So the lifestyle was lovely. Yeah. At the time Karl and I were on it, there was only four channels, and then Sky and maybe 2 or 3 other channels. There was none of this streaming. So, you'd get invited to everything. You'd be going around, so the lifestyle was lovely. The money was lovely.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if you're getting good stories as well, you're thinking, what's not to like about this job?
Yeah.
The different guest actors come in, kept you fresh, like Karl was saying. I was thinking, there's nothing not to like about it. The only thing that you was doing the same was your character. Yeah. Everything was different all the time. So it was a tough one to walk away from, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was, definitely. And when my time came, because I'd worked before, I wasn't scared. In fact, they wanted to keep me a bit longer. And I said, no, can I go a bit sooner? They were like, I was like, no. From a practical point of view, I was like, well, if I leave in July, then that means I won't be able to get any work until after Christmas, because everyone will be, everything will already cast. So I was looking at it from a really practical position of business. And that's how they looked at it. So I wasn't disappointed. I wasn't upset. It was just, again, that job that I've done has come to a close, and that's it.
Yeah.
But yes, it was a lovely,
wonderful job.
Lovely job, and all the things that came with it were great. And I made some lifelong friends. Amazing. And
you really get to learn, don't you?
Yeah,
you really get
definitely.
to learn from actors, from TV, from directors, from just how the whole sort of thing works. And you go on as a guest actor sometimes, especially if you're starting, you just want to get it out and get it right and think, I was okay, I didn't I didn't stick out like a sore thumb. You really got to breathe and especially with great actors that you trusted and just thought, and you had such a crack, you had such a laugh. You'd open your scripts. Me and Sally used to say this: you open your script going, because normally it's too detective. You open a script going, I don't believe this. I've got Karl for 3 weeks on an episode. That's it. You're dicking about. You're when you're off camera, you're just dicking about with people like Scott Maslin, and it was just daft as a brush, and people that you just can sit in a CID car with all day long, because you just have such a laugh. It was just.
Who gets to say that they go to work and just have fun all day?
Yeah. Got spinning cars out, kissing girls, kissing.
Although DTI Glaze only kissed one girl. It was a nun.
That's it.
Wasn't that?
You got none.
I got none. I kissed a nun. I think.
That rings a
Was
bell
it a
as
nun?
well.
Yeah, was that? That was on.
We're looking for
Bill,
Patrick to see if he remembers.
Patrick,
I'm
do you
trying to
remember
remember. I'm trying to remember myself.
It was a storyline. I can't remember, but yeah, it was a nun. That's the only thing. That was the only action that DC Danny Glaze got.
Well, you both had some great moments on the series, and for you, Carl, as well. There was a fantastic episode. I don't know if you recall, involving you and Clive Wedderburn.
Oh, Carnival.
Yeah, where you have this
Yes.
fantastic two-hander scene together.
Yeah.
Like, what was that like?
Well, it was amazing.
I
I mean,
remember
that whole storyline actually was quite brilliant because it was almost like guerrilla filmmaking. You know,
Yeah.
we filmed at the carnival, and we filmed using a skeleton crew, tiny little handheld camera. A lot of the stuff that we did that was scary, we sort of filmed close at hand, but the day before or the day after. So it wasn't actually, although it looked like it was at the carnival, it wasn't, because you know things can boil over really quickly in those areas. So it was very, very well marshaled and very, very well organized. But that was a really amazing experience doing that and dealing with the implications of the race and police in the force and race in relation to being police in the force was really brilliant and really brave for the Bill to do. And also, Clive and I had not really had anything to do with each other in terms of characters. He was uniform and I was CID. But that was a really great opportunity for us to have a head-to-head and talk about our emotional feelings about being police officers and about being black police officers. So, yeah, no, it was great. It was really sort of felt like it was pushing the boundary, as it were.
And it's one of the few episodes to have almost like a post-credit scene where you have your hair shaved. Was that a decision made by yourself or the production?
No, it wasn't made by me, actually. It was the producer, Jamie Nudgins, that's right. So he also, if I'm not mistaken, I think he wrote that episode as well. And it's funny because I've spoken to him at the time, and I remember also, and it was sort of in the script as well. And now Jamie lived in Ladbroke Grove for a long time, and Clive Wedderburn's character says something about who do you think you are with your big afro, all this sort of stuff. And I think that was a bit of Jamie Nudgins going, who do you think you are, Carl Collins, with your big afro, coming in here convincing the top brass. And it was coming in here convincing the producers that it was okay for you to have this. So I think it was a little dig. And I remember when I first got the part of the Bill, they talked about the hair. And that was a time when there was Maxwell, the singer Maxwell. There were lots of, young black men weren't just wearing their hair short cropped. They were wearing it as a skinhead. They were wearing it afro. They were wearing it in dreadlocks, wearing it in cane row. It wasn't like a uniform. And I said, this guy's in CID, so he's going to have his hair how he wants. He doesn't have to wear it in a regulation cut. And so they all went, oh, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense. So we established Danny Glaze with this afro. And I know it caused a lot of talk in the press about who is this guy with this afro. Even people purported to think it was a wig. I remember there was something in the Voice weekly magazine talking about how dare they put this guy on there with a wig. And and I had to answer all sorts of questions. I was like, it's my hair. Look, you can still see it's my hair.
Right hair.
But the funny thing was, when it came to that episode,
it's a great, Barbara, not great. Great hair with a T. Great.
Yeah. It's all the. I've dyed it grey. But I was actually happy to have it cut because I remember thinking, also because you can see it's still thick. I wasn't fearful that I'm going to have my hair cut and it's not going to grow back. My hair is really strong and it's still growing strong. But I remember thinking we've established it. We've had 18 months with this guy with the afro, and now we see him at the end get it all shaved off. That's a really huge statement, So I was happy for us to do that. But I also know partly it was Jamie Nudgins going, I'll bloody show you, Collins. Come on with your bloody afro. We'll see. Get rid of that. But so I was happy for it to go.
Great standalone, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
There were some great standalone ones that were just Well,
of course, Britannia Mania, of course, which is fondly remembered by many people, including my brother, who, sort of a casual viewer of the Bill, but he remembers that storyline very well. And so that must have been, what was that like for you to be involved in such a big storyline, Chris, and working with Karl Howman?
No, it was great. It was the undercover football hooligan.
Right, yes, yeah.
I'd only watched ID a few weeks before. I said, "Oh my goodness, this is similar to this story. This is phenomenal." And I was like, I wasn't long in, and for them to trust me with like a whole 4-parter where I have to go all the way through it, and that was what was on when I think Paul Marquez came in, and I was. It was actually on the screen, and I was super proud of it. I was thinking, "Wow, this is some brilliant story." We went into the actual football games, and
I remember people stopping me in the street and were like, "Is he really like that?" And I was like, "No, he's one of my best mates. He's not like that at all."
Yeah,
People would really be like, "Yeah, I bet he's a right one. Yeah, he's a right racist. This, that." But I was like, "No, that's the wrong guy. That's not him."
And Karl Howman was lovely. He was an absolute super pro. You could see he'd been doing it forever. I had not even done a lot of TV and press, and I was sort of like a bit bamboozled by some questions that we got asked on TV and stuff. And Karl Howman was just, just been around the block, hadn't he? And was great. Yeah, wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Just exhausting, but you just so throw yourself into it, and you can't wait to watch rushes of it, and people kept coming in and out of it and drifting in for a few scenes in your story from the uniform. I remember I pictured Renee in it, and great story. Right.
I mean, what a privilege to be able to be given such a huge. You think of that's 4 hours of TV. It's like a series of some drama. I mean, Line of Duty and Luther, that's like a series of 6 usually, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's 6 hours, but you had 4 hours of primetime telly, which you were leading,
Yeah. You do feel honoured. You do. Yeah. You just want to serve it as best you can. I used to love some of the stories that they'd give us. You're thinking, oh my goodness, they're doing this. They were really brave. They were really trying to bend it. Like Karl said, if it was still on at 8 o'clock, they'd go around the houses, but still try and tell the same story. A story that's very brave. Yeah, brilliant.
And how have you both found life following the Bill, and what would you say that you both learned from your experiences working on it?
It's shit. Terrible, isn't it?
No. I'll tell you what, for me, I mean, I'm still in working out. Karl's got a career as long as your arm. For me, I feel sometimes that 10 years off and on the Bill sometimes counts for nothing. It really counts for nothing. It doesn't, you do get offered little bits and bobs, but you're still a jobbing actor. That's why I still love doing theatre. I'd be confident to go on and do more TV and film, but I definitely got the directing bug from doing Hollyoaks, and I don't think we'll ever fall out of love with acting, but sometimes it's nice to have other strings as well and stuff that you're just as passionate about. And I think I've got that from the directing side. Sometimes, Patrick, if I'm being brutally honest, it's like, you're creating your own work as well. You're creating your own work that you think, wow, you don't have, unless you're in that, I don't know whether Karl will agree or disagree, you don't have any control unless you're in that 0.5% where scripts land on your agent's desk and you're turning stuff away. You just don't have control of it,
That's the hardest thing, isn't it? About being an actor is like you have no control over your own destiny as an actor. And you're beholden to someone else. Yeah. That's what we know. And I think the thing that I've been lucky with, or you make your own luck, or whichever way you look at it, I've been around a long time, is I've worked consistently enough to have a career that supported me. And even post the Bill, there have been times where I've had to go out and do something else for a short period of time. I'm going to have to supplement it and do this other. But it's been constant enough that I've managed to stay in work, and I've done a diverse amount of work in theatre and telly and film that's kept me going and has kept me engaged enough.
Karl, of course, I have to ask you about Doctor Who. What was that experience like? And especially having played a character and then being asked to reprise that character like 14 years since you last played it. Must have been an experience for you.
It was a total shock. And at the time I'd been pretty busy actually, which had been great. So my agent said, I think it was in the October, maybe even I think it was the October. They made you to come and said, "Oh, the Doctor Who were inquiring about you coming back to do this character." And I was like, "Oh, okay." But at the same time, I was quite busy, so I was like, "Well, if that works, that would be great." Because they didn't give any clue about what it would entail, how much I would be in it, just would I be interested in reprising the character. So as it got closer to it, and also NDA, right up to the wazoo. And the reality is, as you probably know, Whovians, the fans of the Who, oh my God, they are so intense. So I was like, I'm telling no one about this. Oh my God. And so as it got closer to it, and eventually I agreed I said yes, and we got a script. I was like, God, I'm not telling anyone. Eventually I said to my partner, I said, I'm going to be doing Doctor Who. It starts in a few weeks. She was like, oh, when did you know about this? And, in October. She was like, what else haven't you been telling me? I was like, listen, when it comes to the Doctor Who fans, I didn't want to tell anyone. I didn't want the leak to come from anywhere and it come back to me. But it was great doing it again. And it was quite interesting because I remember we'd been filming for about a week. And eventually David Tennant said to me, oh, Georgia says hi. That's his wife. And he said, I finally told her who was in it. And I was thinking, well, even David Tennant's not telling anyone. He's keeping it a secret. And because Georgia, basically, I knew his wife only a little bit because she worked on the bill, hadn't she?
Yeah.
Back in the day, she worked on the bill. So she said, oh, say hi. And so I was like, oh, well, I don't feel so bad now because even David Tennant is not telling anyone because he really knows how the Whovian universe works. It's like crazy.
Wow.
They're super fans. In fact, I've been to the theatre to see someone in a play and then come out to meet them afterwards. And some of the fans at the stage door have been Whovians, and they have pictures of me to sign, not knowing I'm going to be there, but maybe just on the off chance.
Wow.
And I've literally gone, can't we? I'm like, bloody hell.
I should have phoned ahead.
Yeah. There's no bigger fans than the Whoniverse is just like crazy. I'm sure you know.
Well, I think there's also as equally as many fans of the Bill who I think will be delighted that you're both together and in this podcast. And just to round off, like, how would you? What's your message to fans of the Bill, fans of Mickey and Danny, and just that whole era of the show?
Keep watching, man.
Keep watching.
You pop something pops up on UK or drama or whatever, and you find yourself going, "Oh my goodness!" If the memories are that good for us, I can only imagine what they're like for the people that watched it. We're proud of it. Super proud of it.
I've been out of the Bill 21 years, right? Isn't that 2003? 21 years. It's still the thing that people on a daily basis remember me. And not just go, oh, we do I know you? Oh, and I've done loads since then. But the thing that people go, oh my God, I had a delivery guy came yesterday, delivered a parcel, driving away. He stopped his car, and I'd gone into the car, and he stopped his car, and he came back, and I was thinking, oh, has he forgotten something? He said, oh, I was just literally going, I know that guy, and it's the Bill, you're on the Bill, and it's like, yeah, that's what people remember. So it's such a firm favourite with millions of people.
Great show, yeah. Fond memories.
And I can't, it's given me wonderful, wonderful memories, and it's been contributing to so far a lovely career. So I have such good, happy memories from Bill. No sad memories. We haven't even talked about table tennis, have we?
No. There's a table tennis table up in CID, so when on lunch break, me and him would be up there.
Table tennis.
Playing table tennis all the time.
Oh, brilliant. Well, nothing further to say, but Chris Simmons, Karl Collins, thank you very much.
Absolute pleasure, Patrick. Thank you.
Cheers.
This is Natalie Roles, and you have been listening to the Bill Podcast. Brought to you in association with GeorgeFairbrother.com, shop.saturdaymorningpress.co.uk, vanguardcomics.co.uk, gibconsultancy.co.uk, mcr-seo.com, and donspillane.com. The Bill Podcast is produced by Oliver Crocker and co-produced by Ben Adams, Glenn Cooney, Bryony Kelly, Maz Mirabilis, Alex Mockler, and Simon Wolfe. Our executive producers are Isabel Allen, Mark Bennett, Christopher Booth, Rob Cook, James Crissell, Rebecca Deeprose, Alana Dewar, Andrew Dyack, Dan Evans, George Fairbrother, Stuart Gibbon, Vicky Greatbanks, Luke Hegarty, Robert Hoger, Edward Kellett, James Ledane, Thomas Johnston, Dave Meakin, Gary Moncur, Danny Morris, Steph Morris, Laura Pinney-Fay, Isaac Powell, Alistair Wrigley, Michael Seeley, Don Spillane, Angel Stannard, Paul Statter, Patrick Stratford, and Sarah Went. Huge thanks to all you lovely producers who make the Bill podcast possible. For over 200 hours of bonus content, visit patreon.com/The Bill Podcast.